people always refer to the loved ones as jigar ka tukda. Jigar means, liver. So the liver is the seat of all energy in the body. So I generally explain to people that liver is the engine or the battery of the human body.
Liver is a unique organ in the body. It's got multiple functions. It's probably got more than 1,000 functions. What is important for people to understand immediately is the liver is responsible for actually dealing with all the toxins and bacteria that passes through the bloodstream, because the food that we take in is filtered through the liver.
And anatomically also it is a very complex organ. That's why liver surgery and liver transplant surgery is a new kid in the block compared to many other specialties.
So it's got multiple functions. And liver is what we call like a primitive organ. It has undertaken many functions. And the other example of liver being a primitive organ is that liver's got a capacity to regenerate. It's one of the very few organs that can regenerate. Nerves can regenerate to a small extent. But you take away half a liver, it will regenerate and become a full liver within a matter of 1 month.
We all look to be thin and appear to have a normal BMI, but our livers have already begun to store fat in them at a very young age. I mean, there are numerous theories for this, based on our diet, and maybe there are some certain genetic mutations in us, and certainly there is one particular gene which makes us prone for fatty liver disease in this part of the world.
Generally, liver has 5 to 10% of fat, which is extremely normal. Anything more than that is what we call as fatty liver disease. So you would want to know what fatty liver disease is and how does it progress. Initially, when this excess fat gets stored in the liver, so it goes from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3 to grade 4. If we don't address this, so fatty liver disease, as I told you, can occur even in non-alcoholics. It can occur when the obesity is more, that is your body mass index is more than 30, when the waist-hip ratio to men and women is high, when there's uncontrolled sugars, uncontrolled triglycerides, the cholesterol profile is high, there's hypothyroidism, systemic hypertension, uncontrolled blood pressure, and women with PCOS, that is there's polycystic ovarian syndrome, even they can have, and there are many drugs that can cause. So you should know that when you're taking a particular drug on a daily doses and your liver function tests are abnormal, it is better that you come to a hepatologist and get evaluated whether this drug is causing the altered liver function test in your liver panel.
There are some drugs, there are specific drugs that are very toxic to the liver in large dosage. One of the commonly used drugs that causes liver failure is antituberculous treatment. Some of these drugs can cause liver failure. Patient can die of it. So they have to be very carefully monitored. Excessive consumption of paracetamol, and there has also been recreational drugs, ecstasy and drugs that people consume for recreational purposes can also cause liver failure.
And other reasons in our country are viral diseases, especially hepatitis B and hepatitis C. These are the most common diseases which can progress to cirrhosis, and of course liver cancer also. In the hepatitis B, the incidence of liver cancer is higher compared to any other viral infections. It can happen even before you develop the liver cirrhosis. Sometimes the poison, rat poison, and that is very common in South India side. Rodenticide poison, some people consume for suicidal, or sometimes accidentally they consume this, and that can also lead to liver failure.
I think in the coming few years, fatty liver disease and its complications are going to overwhelm us. It is not that something terrible is going to happen to the person who's got the fatty liver disease, but it is just a marker for things to happen in the future, and it is a very early marker, and lots of fatty liver disease can be reversed, and the fat in the liver can be taken out, and the liver can go back to being healthy.
It takes a long time for damaged liver to manifest with liver disease. Most patients, by the time they come for medical help, have already damaged their liver in an irreversible manner. So that's because the liver can regenerate. It keeps regenerating and copes with it for a long time until it's really very badly damaged when symptoms happen. The earliest symptom for liver disease is tiredness, lethargy. And then some patients will have itching. Jaundice. Jaundice can be very mild and jaundice can be very severe. And then in the later stages, what happens? Sleep disturbances, patients become very confused in the later stages, what is called coma, hepatic coma. And then they accumulate fluid in their stomach, in their belly, what is called ascites, and then they accumulate fluid in the legs. And final stages, they can vomit blood because they've got portal hypertension. And finally, they pass into coma and never may wake up. So there are different stages of the illnesses. And in the early stages, blood tests can detect that the liver is failing. For many patients who come just with tiredness and early jaundice, we can do blood tests and assess that their liver disease is there. But once they go into the final stages, the only option is liver transplantation. Liver transplant is a good operation. Patients don't need to worry too much. But it is a big operation. It's an expensive operation, and there are risks associated with it. I always say to patients who need liver transplant, people say, oh, the risks are there. But we only do liver transplants in patients who have a more than 50% chance of dying of their liver disease. So the risk is not to have liver transplant in these patients rather than to have liver transplants. Okay. But it is a big operation. It carries a risk. For most patients who have liver transplant, if they are transplanted at an early stage, they have a greater than 90% chance of long-term survival and doing very well. But if they are transplanted at a very, very late stage, then their survival decreases. That doesn't mean that every patient who's got liver disease should have a transplant. So that is another side of it. We should not transplant patients who don't need a liver transplant.
Life after transplant can be really fulfilling. People have gone on to achieve, normal lives, functioning normally, very, very productive lives, and performing really well in various spheres of their own personal interest. So if we look at outcomes as to the first transplants done about 30 years ago and the transplants done about 10 years ago, the survival is increasing significantly. This is because of numerous changes in the multiple disciplines involved in liver transplant and also newer medicines coming in.
Having an active life, exercise, not eat too much fat, and not eat too much carbohydrate. Rice, chapatis, too much of it can damage the liver. So limited amount of food and active life is how the liver will be protected.
So what you've heard about being good for the heart is also good for the liver. So exercise is key.
So it's like a clean slate. What you give, it gives you back. What you give, it reads back to you. So for a healthy life, you need a healthy liver. And go get yourself a healthy liver by doing your right things, by living your healthy life and saying no to anything that does not do you good. Have a happy, healthy liver day. Thank you.